Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss, and I'd like to invite you to Choices, the Village Forum Podcast. I'm the founder of Step by Step, Tragic Death Grief Support Ministry for survivors of victims of murder, suicide, and tragic loss, and Choices, a faith-based gang alternative youth mentor program targeting at-risk youth ages 6 to 17. Both were founded in July 2020 in memory of our son, Tyler Randolph Eugene Williams, and his yet unsolved murder. I'm also the co-pastor of the Embassy Church of God in Christ, district missionary of the Embassy District, where my husband and co-founder of Step by Step, Superintendent Dr. Will Chambliss, is pastor. Well, while I'm on a protocol role, I'd also like to acknowledge our leader, Bishop Edward Robinson Sr., prelate of Florida Central Second Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction, pastor of the Southside Church of God in Christ, and our supervisor of women, Mother Judy T. Little. Now, I want to ask you a question. You're probably familiar with the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. But have you ever stopped to think about what your village really looked like? Now, depending upon your generation, different memories may come to mind. If you're part of the silver generation or a baby boomer, you may remember a time when neighbors knew each other. Teachers were respected. Kids actually enjoyed going to school. Pastors were involved in the community. As a matter of fact, the church was the focal point. And parents worked together to guide young children. Everybody's parent was your parent, and your parent was everybody's parent. Then, Generation X and Millennials, or Gen Y, came along. The village have started now to look a little different. Families were busier. New terms, latchkey kids, drug overdose, began to enter our vocabulary. Communities began to shift, and technology started changing how we interacted. Now fast forward to Generation Z and Alpha. Every generation is searching for direction, stability, and hope in a rapidly changing world. Every generation is feeling the impact of a changing culture in uncertain times. Yet, many people are asking a serious and important question, especially those who remember and understand when they look around, listen, and God in heaven knows, especially when you enter the world of social media, you ask, where is the village today? What does the village look like now? And more importantly, how do we rebuild the village in a time when so many of our young people are at risk? That's exactly why we created Step by Step and Choices. From my over 40 years in experience in professional media, marketing ministry, leadership development, and training, even event hosting, I ask myself this very question: Lord, what has happened to our community? What's happened to our neighborhoods? And most importantly, what's going on in the church? Not being critical, but how do we disconnect? Dealing with the murder of our son Tyler and my first book, I wrote in a series, Step by Step, How to Survive the Murder, Suicide, and Tragic Loss of a Close Family Member or Friend. You can see that information on the screen. Scan the QR code and get your copy today. And when you do it, let me know, okay?
My very first invitation from the book came from my husband's barber, Derek Ponder of Urban Styles and Cuts Barber and Beauty Salon in Ocala in Marion, Florida. You need a good place to go to? Brother Derek, tell him we sent you, okay? he contacted me because he's in the midst of Marion County. In Marion County, Ocala, Florida, he is a very community-minded person, activist. He and his wife, they are involved in the community, not just as parents, not just as entrepreneurs of a daycare center and a beauty and barber shop, but they're also in ministry and leadership. They have been touched by and impact the community, especially as it relates to young people and children. Well, he reached out to me and invited me. He said my husband had told him about the book. He was excited about the title, Step by Step, Tragic Death Grief Support Ministry for the survivors of victims of murder, suicide, and tragic loss. He himself had already experienced that, but by being at a barber shop and a beauty shop, he was definitely getting the information of what was going on. Can I say he had his pulse on the community and knowing what was going on and interacting? Well, he contacted me and I was very excited. And so we planned it for a few weeks later. The weekend that we planned it for, I needed to change his schedule, my schedule. He needed to change his. So we rescheduled it. The Saturday that we rescheduled it for, the week prior to that time, there was a major happening in the Marion County area. I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'm going to take you to the interview of what we talked about, what was happening, what's going on. I'm going to go to you to part 1, and then I'll come back, share a little bit, and we're going to go to part 2. This is Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss, and you are watching and listening to Choices, the Village Forum Podcast. Listen, we're putting a cap on violence in our villages. I'm Dr. Brenda, and I'll be right back after this. What we are doing is dealing with the issues what are happening in our community. How can we solve it? Or will we be able to solve it? How can we deal with the issues that are everywhere? They're in the news. They're on our, listen, you cannot pick up your phone without hearing about it. You can't, those that still read the paper, and people do read the paper. Mine, I get my paper digitally and I get it in the mail. I like to, feel paper in my hand still, and be able to do that. But what we're doing is looking at what's happening right now, every day. Listen, Ocala, Marion County has a lot of important things that are going on in it. One of the things recently we just experienced that we were a part of a premiere. We were a part of a movie premiere maybe 2 weeks ago, and we were a part of a premiere for. Okay, I need to stay here. Okay, we were a part of a premiere that was in Ocala. We're going to come back and talk about that in a little bit. But what I'm going to do is continue talking about the issues that we are facing. Can I pull up some of the Mary Sue Rich flyers, or that I just need to talk me? I'll stay right there. I think I hear.
Hello?
I hear you. I don't see you, but I hear you. There you are.
Hello,
There you.
hello.
Woo! We got it. All right. We got it going, and he
Amen.
is there, and we are back. Listen, it is tech issues and everyone. Let me ask you, how was the graduation? Did you make it?
I did make the graduation. It was a great accomplishment for those young people. I saw them about 3 months ago at the alternative school here in Marion County, and they were making goals and setting goals, and just it was just great to see them walk across the stage and actually complete the assignment.
Well, listen, tell us a little bit about that. Focus the camera on him, Pastor. Tell us a little bit about that alternative school, and introduce that to us, because we're not really aware of what you're talking about.
Understandable. MTI, Marion Technical Institute, was instituted, I think, within the past 2 years. One of my good friends, Ron Jones, he was a former standout athlete in Marion County. He's now the principal of Marion Technical Institute, where they kids are possibly kicked out of school for various reasons, and
Mm.
just given a second chance to get themselves back up and get back into public school and everything. So they go through MTI and hopefully get their credits up and possibly graduate.
Well, let me ask you with that. What's the age range? What is the age range for that at that school?
They actually have from middle school up into high school.
Okay, so because we have a faith-based youth mentor program that we launched as a result of step by step, because it's like I said earlier when we were trying to get some of the issues dealt with. It's one thing to have a situation, but how can we prevent? What can we do? My my it fell again. I'm sorry. You see it? Okay. um what can we do to help deal with these young people before they get to that point?
Right.
And so, yeah, and even like with what we're going to be talking about a little bit on tonight, we deal with those situations after the fact, but how you deal with it before. So even like you're saying in middle to high school, but if we could reach those kids, um listen, I remember, the respect level, you wouldn't say something or you respected elderly. Listen, these 4 and 5 year olds right now, you say something to them, you're liable to get cursed out, and they they small, and so as we reach back and reach down to deal with them. But like I said, we came in, we were having some technical issues, but what I want to do is give a proper introduction of you, and ask a little bit of about you as you introduce yourself to our audience. Our special guest this evening is Mr. Derek Ponder. He is the proprietor of Urban Styles Beauty and Barbershop in Ocala. He is a community activist and involver. He's definitely involved with the youth and the community. And even as he was saying on tonight, he has his finger on the pulse of what's happening in Marion County. Let me ask you, give us a little, are you from Marion County? Is that your original background?
Yes, ma'am. I am from Marion County. I was born and raised in Ocala, Florida.
Wow.
Um, yeah, long time history here. So went through elementary school, middle school, high school. So I've seen a lot happening here, good and bad.
Let me ask you, one of the things is, what changes? How would you look at with what's happening today? What are the changes, most visible changes? Let's just break it up into, like, say 10-year increments. So 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and now. What changes have you seen? Not just, in your local community, but also in the surroundings, period. What are the changes? Let's go 20 years back, 10 years, and now.
Well, as you said earlier, the level of respect, I definitely don't see it as it used to be. Um, I know my grandmother, for an example, before I left that house, she put some ground rules down. And, wherever she had to come correct me at is where I would get corrected. And I took that to heart, and and that influenced my decisions. I grew up with my grandmother and grandfather. My father was incarcerated. A period of my youth, and my mother, she died at an early age when I was in
Sorry
middle
for that.
school.
Sorry
Yes,
for your
ma'am.
loss. So I think also probably being raised by grandparents, it gave you a different level, because they came from their level of understanding and what they dealt with, and that was passed on to you.
Yes, ma'am.
So by being raised like that, so like you say, the respect level. But when, if there was a time, just personally, you know when did you, what was it that caused you to notice the changes happening in our communities, our surroundings? Was it when BET came out? Was it with the birthing of cell phones? Or what helped you to see the changes, that positive and negative, and how they began to impact?
I believe definitely the influence of through music was
Wow,
one
okay,
of the,
music.
because music began to change. It began to commercialize more of the killing and just rude behavior. You
Wow,
know,
I like
from the
that.
young ladies and also the young men. You know, just yeah. And don't get me wrong, we had our music as well. And we had
Mhm.
things that were being said, you know, we had cursing and profanity. I enjoyed it at that period of time in my life, but it wasn't we had a lot of positive activism music, I would say, you know, picking you up and getting you to think higher of yourself, trying to push you to more of a new level. But right now it seems like, you know, the more music comes out, you're hearing more murder, or I'm not controlling my emotions and that type deal. So it's causing these kids, you know, they're looking at these individuals that's doing the rapping and everything, and they don't understand that it's showtime for those guys. You know, those
Exactly.
guys have families, they have kids that they don't want to do the types of things that they talk about within their music,
Hmm.
and they can't separate the two because, you know, the message is being they're storytelling, and it sounds really realistic, but at the end of the day, you know, those that are really real, you see the end result, and that is death. You know, a lot of
Hmm.
the rap artists that are really doing what they say that they're doing, they're dying, and they're showing you what it's producing.
Hmm.
And if the kids can really take a step back and look at what's really happening, I believe they'll wake up. They'll wake up.
One of the things that you said, and I appreciate, you said, um, rude. You know, that's a word that hear. You don't even hear a lot. But rude behavior. Rude behavior. I I know, and it's not political or anything, but there was a time that there was at least a level of respect in certain areas and in certain arenas. But now you're seeing the breakdown, and once again, this is almost a sign of the time. We're seeing such a breakdown in those areas of people that we should have looked up to for a level of respect and behavior. So now it's hard almost to tell that young person, well, listen, you should not act that way or say that or do that, when they're seeing it in the lives of people that we should be looking up to. Listen, I'm going to take a break. My special guest here on today is Brother Derek Ponder from Urban Styles Beauty and Barbershop in Ocala, Florida. This weekend, we've got a special event that is going to be coming up. We want to give you more information. We want you to come out and be with us to uh, Urban Styles that put that flyer up for this weekend. We want you to come out and be with us. It's a community forum. It's a community forum. We need you to come out and be with us at the community forum. That's the podcast flyer. The community forum. Come out and be with us on Saturday. Come out and be with us on Saturday at that community forum. But listen, I'm going to go away. I'm going to take a break. This is the result of the lifestyles and what we're seeing and happening. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We call this our wall of remembrance of what the lifestyles that many of the young people, if they don't make some positive changes, this is going to be their results. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can make a choice. This Dr. Brenda, I'll be right back after the wall of remembrance. Just pick one. back in on that one. This is Tyler. This is not the Wall of Remembrance. This is Tyler's. Can you hit the other one?
I know somehow, I know some way we're going to make it. No matter what the test, whatever comes our way, we're going to make it. With Jesus on our side, things will work out fine. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
Can I get a witness? We're gonna make it.
I know somehow, I know some way we're gonna make it. No matter what the test, whatever comes my way, we're going to make it. With Jesus on our side, things will work out fine. We're gonna make it. Oh, yes, we will. We're gonna make it.
And we are back. The Step-by-Step Tragic Death Grief Support Ministry. Our new book is out. Our new book, Step by Step, How to Survive the Murder, Suicide, or Tragic Loss of a Close Family Member or Friend. Go there, scan that, scan the QR code, get some information. We want you to get this book. We want to talk about it. Now, those that have gotten to the point where we want to reach them before, but if you are the survivor or the victim of homicide, suicide, or tragic loss of a close family member or friend, we would love to hear from you. Well, I am back, Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss, founder of Step-by-Step Tragic Death Grief Support Ministry and the host of the Step-by-Step Survivor podcast. My special guest on today is none other than Mr. Derek Ponder, a lifelong resident of Marion County. Let me ask you, Brother Derek, what led you into the industry that you're in? You're the proprietor of, tell us a little bit about Urban Styles. My husband is over there correcting me because I think you're his barber. He cut his hair a couple of times. So tell us about Urban Styles.
Well, Urban Styles was formed out of faith. Um,
Wow.
as a young boy in middle school, I began to enjoy cutting hair. One of my cousins, Christopher Lofton, he actually is working with me within the shop right now. And he introduced me to barbering, and he used to cut the neighborhood kids' hair. And he gave me a pair of clippers because I was so interested. And they were broken pair. He showed me how to fix it up, and he said, "Man, you can have these clippers." So I took them home. I just started butchering my own hair. Me and a friend of mine, we started cutting each other's hair, and stumbled across the skill, kept watching him and what he did, and I started charging $5. He was charging 10, and it went from there to the point where my mentor, Mr. Howard Gunn, he's a pastor in the community. He
Mm-hmm.
was the agriculture teacher. He took a chance on me. He came to my front porch and let me cut his hair right there on my front porch, and that inspired me to keep going. And I always had in my mind that I wanted to get my license, so I went to Central Florida. They offered the program at the CF at the time, which is now university. They no longer have the program, but I went through that program at that time, about 1,500 hours, learned all about beauty, barbering, and cosmetology, nails, and everything else, and got my license.
You know what's and it just dawned on me when you were saying that you remember the clip about my son Tyler, and you said, "Well, somebody's on the screen in a graduation." That was
Yeah.
Tyler graduating from cosmetology, and that's what he
Wow.
wanted to do. And fight back, tears, back. That's what he wanted to do. That's what he wanted to do, and he graduated from cosmetology school when he came up to the mountains where we were. Because when we tell people that we were in North Carolina, they think Charlotte and Raleigh and Rock Hill and those. What's the one that have the two names together? Raleigh, Durham, and all that. No, 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 no. That's not where we were. We were in Western North Carolina, where there's
Wow.
less than 1% African American. Okay, it was 97%. Well, not 95% European, Caucasian, and 3% Cherokee, and less than 1% African American. That's where
Wow.
we were. And so, but Tyler wanted to be a barber. And when he came up, because when people were traveling from out of town or they came to the casino and they didn't get a chance to get a cut, the brothers needed somewhere to go to. So it would have worked out well for him. But yeah, that was one of the things that he wanted to do. And but I'm loving what you're saying, is how someone mentored you, encouraged you. Do you think that that is something that's missing in the lives of maybe a lot of the young African American men in our neighborhoods and our communities? Do you think that's a void?
It's a great void right now. Even the guys that were so called at the time dope boys or drug dealers, those guys had they were actually the guys that we were around most because the young men were athletes and they wanted to participate in sports and football and everything, and these are the same brothers that may have left school prior to, and then they had aspirations of going to college or playing sports, and you would meet them right there at the courts.
Mm-hmm.
And in the age of social media now, you rarely see the courts full anymore.
Huh, wow.
You don't see the parks full anymore. So that mentorship, and what my point of saying about the dope boys or the so-called drug dealers or whatever you would call them at that particular time. A lot of those brothers have changed at this point, but they were
Mm-hmm.
sowing good seed.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the midst of what they were doing, may have been negative or however people looked at it at that particular time, they were directing those young men to do something different with their lives because they weren't happy with where they were, so they at least had a level of mentorship or respect enough to say, "Hey, young man, hey, I don't want you out here, go home, it's time for you to go to the house." I had that type of
Wow. Mm-hmm.
leadership around me. Guys that you wouldn't have expected that to come from. It came from the streets that I grew up in.
Wow. Because like I said, there's we were looking at, like I said, 20 years back, 10 years back, and now. I told my husband and I were talking, we talk all the time, and I said, things are so different. Um, and someone might not can understand this, and some may, but I love my parents. Thank God, I love my mom, my dad, Deacon Eugene Miller Sr., the late, and Deaconess Queen Ollie Bivens Miller. Everybody called her Honey, but I'm so glad my mom and dad are not alive today to see this day and time. It'll kill
Mm.
them. To see what's happening now. I mean, the lack of respect,
Oh
the
my.
just watching television, what's on the commercials, just the era. It would it's so different. And how do we reach? How do we touch? How do we impact? We're talking and we're looking at what's happening right now this weekend, this past weekend in Ocala, in your area, in Marion County. Last weekend, on Friday night, a murder. Saturday, retaliation. I'm sure one murder. It was a shooting of three. I have not been able, I've had so many things going on, have not been able to update to get all the stats on that. And then yesterday, my daughter called me and said, Mom, there's been another shooting. As I was texting you and praying for you guys over there to see what's happening, and then I called you and you said, listen, I didn't just hear about it. We were talk about your experience, what happened yesterday, what you personally experienced.
For me, and all that we do within the community, um, we had just gotten finished serving over 100 kids out on MLK's field. And we went through a football camp, and we had a lot of young people, girls, boys, families out there and everything else. And as we were awarding the kids for their activities and talking to them at the end of the camp, a car pulls up and opens fire
Ooh,
on a young man right in front of the kids. This was horrific for those kids to hear the screams and the yells of parents. It was horrific, and with me and a number of the other coaches and adults that were there, we were trying to shield those kids as best we could and get them off that field as quickly as possible. But us not being able to reach every one of them, we thank God for his hand being upon those young people. Because yes, in my mind, I wanted to cover every one of those kids and make sure that they were safe.
mm.
But I know a God that does cover,
Come on now.
and none
Amen.
of them, none
Yes.
of them were harmed. And I'm so
Mm-hmm.
grateful for that. But it was a horrific time, and it was an experience that I hope no one ever else. I hope these young men will start to think, if they even hear this podcast, that hey, your actions, your have to be thought about, because you
Yes.
never know. It's not just about what you're going through at that moment. It's about who's impacted by what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You never really think about everything that surrounds it until it's over. And these are the things that our young men have to think about, and our young ladies, because we're seeing an uprise of anger, hostility from our young ladies as well, and it's just not becoming, and it's just not cool.
That put it simply, it's just not cool. It's not becoming. And when you're talking, and like I said, once again, we're going to be over in Ocala on Saturday.
Yes,
One of
ma'am.
the things I wanted to find out is, number one, how did you find out about the book, step by step?
I was online, and of course, I'm friends with your daughter and your son. So that kind of, and I think I've clicked on your page as well, just from your husband coming to the shop and always talking about you. So when I saw you posted, and I saw the topic of it, step by step, and kind of knowing the background and the story, and you were promoting that your book is going to be released, and also talking to your husband as well, and
Mhm.
I actually saw that it was going to be released. I was excited because I have loved ones that that this type of tragedy has happened in their life. It's happened in my life with the loss of my brother. And I just know that you don't just get past it.
Yes.
It definitely is a step-by-step journey. And those hard times come back.
Yes, they
You
do.
know, yes, we move from glory to glory. Yes, God is with us, but that doesn't hold back the tears at times for just missing them and just wanting to have that touch, that hug, that conversation one more time.
The like I said, when I heard you talking about being a barber and talking about that, it triggered. That was the thing that Tyler wanted to do, and he would say things because I wanted to go to the nail shop and I wanted to get a pedicure. And he was like, Mom, no, you don't need to do that. You're diabetic and you've got to be careful with your feet. You can't just go anywhere. And I'm like, I didn't know that. Whatever, just go. But
Right.
the skills and things that he was learning. But so you heard about the book and then you reached out and contacted me. And this is about 3 weeks ago. And you said, listen, I want you to come to the shop and let's pick a good time to come to the shop, and I want to open up, let's just have a little forum and let's talk about it. No idea, but I knew God knew. It seems like, man, the doors of hell have opened up, and just my daughter says, Mom, it's like a war zone over here. She said, I don't want to go out of the house. Nobody should live like that. You shouldn't live where you're afraid to go outdoors. I was
Truth.
looking at some of the posts on in the paper where people were posting, these are residents, and they said, like, I don't go over in that area. Y'all don't go over there. Just don't go. And some of these things, are known for that. But we want to talk about the situations. Let's talk. This is going to be on Saturday at 2 p.m. Now I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. Um, I was praying a little bit, and I was telling my husband, I say, people kind of get the crazy and stuff, and I was me and my daughter and Teresa was talking. I said, I don't want nobody to, and she said, Mom, but Ponders is a safe zone. Nobody gonna
Right.
mess with him. He's a safe zone. And then she says, now unless somebody from the wrong side is in there, he said, then they gonna come and get him. She said, you might not, they're not gonna mess with you. They just gonna go in and shoot who they want to and then leave out. I said, very comforting. That's a comforting thought, but but my concern, and I did for a minute, I was like, is it safe to come out and have a forum like this in view of all what's going on? What do you think? You think we'll be all right?
I think we're going to be just fine. We're covered by the blood of Jesus.
Okay.
But at the same note, we've did this in a few different ways. We did a balloon release. A friend of mine, Mrs. Kim Pompey, she hosts. It doesn't matter what side, who it is. We want to be of support to families. You
Right.
know, my nephew, he was gunned down, and I'm sure it was a side that he took or whatever the case was. But at the end of the day, these young men, I want them all to know that I truly love them and I want better for them. So that's my whole objective. I don't care what side you're from, who you're from. I love you, and we praying for you, and we want to see different in our community.
And we've got to make the change, because I pass by and I see young men, and to me, in every young man, I see my son. Put up a picture, Tyler, Pastor. My baby's gone. My son is gone. He was murdered, and I often think, I said, nobody had the right to do that. You didn't have the right to. You didn't give a life. You shouldn't take a life. Tyler wasn't a bad boy, young man. He had issues, sure, and he'd been inside. He knew the life. He was involved, and my daughter will say, "Ma, realistically, let's look. He was deep in the gangs, and we knew that he was heavily involved. but he wanted out. He wanted out, and he saw the difference. He wanted something different. So when he came to the mountains, and he wanted a different lifestyle. But see, when you come to the mountains and you're in Cherokee, North Carolina, you're right in that roadway, and you're right in that pathway where the casino is right here. You got 95 right there that leads to Orlando. You've got Charlotte. You've got all of that. Then you've got New York and up. So everybody wanted a piece of him, you know. And there was a movie, I don't know if you recall. It's called In Too Deep.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, and listen, young men, and if you're listening, um, you can get so involved. You can get deep. They don't want to let you out, and they didn't want to let my boy out. They didn't want him out, you know. So, and to not for him to not let him out, they took him out, you know. They took him out. And I know I'm fidgeting because it's okay, you know. It's rough. It's rough. I'm that I don't want to see another mother go through this, another grandmother. So how do you deal with it? What do we do? How do we make those changes? You need to come out. We want to talk about it. We want to talk to you. Young man, come out. Young lady, come out. I heard something that you said, even with the young women. The women now, some of these women is just as hard as a man. They you know, they're hard, and they're dealing with issues. But we want to help. We want to communicate. Listen, we're going to go give you another commercial about the book, and then we're going to come back and wrap up. We're going to look at what we can expect on this Saturday at Urban Styles Beauty and Barbershop in the beautiful city of Ocala. I'm Dr. Brenda, and I'll be back after this.
Hi, this is Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss. I am a survivor. My son, Tyler Randolph Eugene Williams, was murdered July the 17th, 2020, yet unsolved. I know personally what it is to embrace such a loss. As a result, I founded Step by Step Women's Grief Ministry for the survivors of the victims of homicide and suicide in 2020, right after Tyler was murdered. Now it is expanded as we are entering in our 5th year as Step by Step Tragic Death Grief Support Ministry. We are adding on to this outreach with our brand new book, Step by Step: How to Survive the Murder, Suicide, or Tragic Loss of a Close Family Member or Friend. You need to get this book, and you need to connect with Step by Step Tragic Death Grief Support Ministry. I understand that the loss of a loved one through murder, through suicide, through tragic death and violence is different than most other deaths. It's a different grief. It's a different loss. It's a different way to understand. And I want to be there to help you. I wrote this book, number 1 in a series, Step by Step, to help you face the tragedy, what's happening, what's in store, and how with God's help you can make it step by step. Reach out today, order your book, and connect with Step by Step Tragic Death Grief Support Ministries. I'm Dr. Brenda, and with God's help, I want to help you on your journey to hope, healing, and deliverance, step by step.
And if you have not, you can get the book. You can get the book. You can order the book and get the book. You know, I was checking, and some of you may have been bumped off because I think, and that's why we have our, if you're on the podcast channel live, some people are viewing it, but I think on Facebook, I probably said something. We probably already done it, cut us off. You know, you can come on, you can cuss and you can show your whole body part and anatomy, but if you say something positive, Facebook gives you the cut. But that's fine because we just will go back and rebroadcast and upload. I think one of the things that I did want to mention, and I did hear you say personally, you had the experience yourself from losing. I think you said a nephew, maybe a brother. You've had people. I know there are some men in your barbershop that lost a son. I think someone
Yes.
in the shop was murdered. Um, when we come together on Saturday, what I know what I'm going to talk about and I'm going to share, but if there's one goal that you want to come out of this on Saturday, what would it be?
One of my main things I think that has been on my heart and my mind is that the voice of those that have been impacted. Many times, this is the thing that young men and folks that are out there don't quite understand. That it doesn't matter which side is impacted or affected. Your homeboy mom is affected every time a life is taken.
Every time.
They relive it again and again and again. It could be something that doesn't even happen in the community, but when this happens, they relive it over and over again. And I don't think they understand until they really hear maybe their loved ones' family talk. You know, I talk to my family. I've talked to my brother's mom and his sisters, and this doesn't go away. This does not go away. And they relive it when they hear others that are close to them that lost lives, or a friend that they a coworker that they work with. That's my coworker. Yes, my brother was lost when I was much younger, but I relive it when my coworker is suffering.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not only is
Mm-hmm.
he my friend, but I relive it because my nephew. I had a loss of my nephew. Not only did I lose my nephew came to the shop. So he was in the shop, you know, mingling with the rest of the shop, and we're a family in our shop.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we often talk about when he used to come in and how he would get in the Forbes magazine, and we never saw a young man that would get in here and read like he does and think how he does. He was a thinker. He was a very smart young man, you know, had goals and dreams and wanted to see different things, you know, but at the end of the day, his involvement with certain things and certain people, it caused him his life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, our loved ones have dreams. Yes, our loved ones are very, very smart and intelligent, but sometimes your involvement with other people
Choices. Mm-hmm.
can cost you your life. But at the end of it all, as I said, I want them to understand that each time this goes back and forth, we're going tit for tat. I'm going to get the big one this time. I'm going to get the big one this time. You're hurting the same people that you were protecting from the beginning.
You said it. That's what our faith-based ministry, outreach youth ministry, ages 6 to 17 is choices. You fail or succeed by the choices that you make. And uh, look, Derek, you're dead on it because every murder, I relive it. Every murder, I'm right there. I'm with that mother. She doesn't. I mean, black, white, Chicano, Oriental, Jewish. They don't. I'm right there with you. I mean, you can't see me, but listen, there is, like the Bible talks about a cloud of witnesses. When
Mm-hmm.
that happens, you can't see it, but there is a cloud of survivors that are experiencing what you experience, the phone call, you experience the going to the morgue, you
Mm.
experience words that I talk about it in the book, step by step. outside of watching Law and Order, I never in my life had to use the term blunt force trauma. Who says that?
Mhm.
Now I know what it means.
Right.
You know, you watch on television on NCIS and you watch these shows, CSI, and someone is murdered, and they go to the morgue, but the morgue is always in the basement, and it's so cold.
It
It's
is.
it's it's so cold, and then you see that on television, but when you have to experience that loved one laying on that metal table, and the thoughts that go through your mind is like, put a blanket under them, they're going to be cold. It's so cold, can you warm them up? But they're not. See, you go through that
Mhm.
every time with that next person. That's what survivors have to go through. Listen, we got to wrap up on today, but we're going to talk about this more, and I am looking forward to uh, partnering with you and you partnering with us, because literally in what year was it? We literally were in Ocala. Our church was there. Was it 2003? Okay, we were in Ocala, 3940 North Highway 441.
Okay.
Across, that's where we were. It's a motorcycle shop there now on
Okay.
441. So we were right next to that's where our church was, the Embassy Christian Center. We were right there. And so we've got some roots there. And now my family still lives there. My daughter, Teresia Jackson, and my son-in-law, Jacoby Jackson, producers and entrepreneurs, and I got grandbabies and everything there. So I've got a heart for Marion County, and we're seeing God even drawing and pulling us there. We've got some more events and things that are going to be coming up. But listen, what we want to do on tonight before we go, we're going to ask, and put that urgent prayer flyer up for me, that we're going to ask that those that are watching this and that will re-watch this, prayers are needed. We are praying for the Marion County area. We want
Amen.
you to stand with us. We want you to agree with us. We are believing God that He's going to make a change, that a difference. And we may not see every life saved, but if we can just save one, just
Amen.
one life saved. If we can just see one life changed, it makes a difference all across the board, because there has to be a difference, and we are looking for it, and we are believing God for that. Listen, Brother Derek, we thank you so much for joining, and definitely we're looking forward to being with you on Saturday and just literally seeing what God has in store. You can break off now, but I'm going to give you a call after, okay?
Amen. Thank you so much for your
Okay,
time, and
thank
thank you for
you.
having me on the show. God
Oh,
bless you.
glad to have you.
Good afternoon. This is Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss, and you have just witnessed the Village Forum podcast. Now, this conversation was originally filmed, believe it or not, in May of 2025, at a time when the Village conversation was just beginning to take shape. Now, looking back, it's really, really clear that this was more than an interview, because this started, as you recall, from a phone call and an invitation by proprietor Derek Ponder to come to his barbershop on a Saturday afternoon for a town hall community forum to talk and share about the book, Step by Step: How to Survive the Murder, Suicide, or Tragic Loss of a Close Family Member or Friend. Well, we got there, and what we did first, so what you're watching here, part one, is the promotional interview. But as you can see, what happened the week before them, there was
2 murders, 1 person in the hospital for a long time, a shootout where children were at risk. My God, thank God for protection and covering those children. Interview. It was the beginning of a movement. Part 2 will feature live clips from Urban Styles and Cuts Beauty and Barbershop. Conversation moved into the community, and real questions became more real. Do you remember the village? What did your village look like? And where is the village now? Through Step by Step, Tragic Death Grief Support Ministry, serving survivors of victims of murder, suicide, and tragic death. And through Choices, our faith-based youth mentor program for at-risk youth ages 6 to 17, founded in memory of our murdered son, yet unsolved, Tyler Randolph Eugene Williams. He's the reason behind this whole movement. We're coming together and we're bringing together concerned churches, businesses, community groups to start a conversation that can lead to positive change in our communities. Because the questions are really serious. How many funerals of our young people attend on the weekend? How many times will we go to court or visit them in jail on Monday? How many more funerals will pastors officiate, only to move on to the next one while families of grief are left alone grieving? How many more devastating Facebook posts will we read? This is a clarion call to Silver Generation, Baby Boomers, Generation X, Millennials, Gen Y, Generation Z, and yes, even to the rising Alpha generation. Scripture reminds us that we must reach this generation. So let's not just talk about it, let's be about it. The village is crying. The village is hurting. The village is calling. Are you ready to make a difference? I'm Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss, and I need to hear from you. Through crisis, aftercare prevention, and our outreaches, we're putting a cap on crime and violence in our communities and working to restore the village. Join me for the next Choices Village Forum. The conversation is here, the need is now, and the village needs us all. Come on, I want to hear from you. We're going to go off and give you more information, and we look to hear from you. God bless you. This is the Choices Village Forum, and I am your host, Dr. Brenda Chambliss.